Ladies and gentlemen, let's cover a few subjects today. Today's date is the 24th of April, 2026. It's a Friday. It's 9:21 a.m. I'm going for cheesecake. I'm sorry, and it's fine cheesecake. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about several things. A quick overview over the Straits of Trump, or the Straits of Hormuz, as it's also commonly known. Then we're going to go into a bit of history, all the way back into Queen Elizabeth I. I made a big mistake. Thank you for correcting me. Jeffrey Rush plays Walsingham, not John Dee. I got them all mixed up. A voiceover is coming. How many times have I said a voiceover is coming? There's only 47 unfinished scripts, but they're coming. So we're going to combine, how do we understand the managing of choke points like the Straits of Malacca, the Straits of Hormuz, the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal? How do we understand these choke points? Even today in 2026, we can take it all the way back to Queen Elizabeth I. The man John Dee, who commonly is believed to have trained under a Kabbalist rabbi in Prague, not Vienna, apologies. The man who invented the golem. All right, we can trace this all back. Kabbalah, Chabad, in the royal court right now, in the White House. We can almost make it exactly like a court of Queen Elizabeth I. The fighting is identical. I mean, it's uncanny. You're going to love this one. We've got a mix of practical politics, a bit of the occult, a bit of conspiracy, and a bit of ayahuasca, magic mushrooms, and the use of psychedelics, as you can see in the background, that the Trump administration is doing now with Chabad-loving Robert Kennedy and their little dwarf, the little golem, otherwise known as Joe Rogan. And the hinge point, the Walsingham of the court, Ari Emanuel, or is he the golem? We don't know. We're going to link that all together. Ladies and gentlemen, past is prologue and it gets really uncanny. I will link the court of Queen Elizabeth I and say, my God, this is almost an exact copy. I kid you not. Stay tuned. Let us attend.
Cyber is a real domain of power. And cyber is a real domain of power.
I don't want to spend too much time on the Straits of Dawn, the Straits of Hormuz. I already explained what it is. Nothing has changed. This is a war between the United States elites and the courts of Europe, otherwise known as the European Union, City of London. Basically, House Atreides is fighting House Harkonnen in the documentary, otherwise known as Frank Herbert's Dune. Now, of course, King Charles is coming to beg, can I please control the Middle East and make sure the Saudis keep all their money in British banks. These are part of all the new deals coming up. We'll watch a few minutes of alleged President Donald Trump, who's running everything apparently because he's such a genius. And then we'll go into, very briefly, that nothing has changed and everything is fine. Not if you're sitting under a bomb somewhere in southern Lebanon, of course, or Gaza or the West Bank or 1,000,001 other places. But for us fat, lazy, cliche Westerners of every race and creed, we're doing just fine and we'll continue to do just fine, even if the price of eggs has gone up. Let us listen.
In the meantime, President Trump giving more insight into his diplomatic strategy towards Iran. He says right now he's just not in a rush to reach a deal with the regime, and he wants any agreement they do make to be everlasting. The president also pointing out that Iran's fractured leadership is a complicated factor.
I can only tell you this, it'll end. I don't think it'll be very long, by the way. They're delaying it because we don't know who to deal with. We don't know who the leader is in Iran. Because remember, regime change. Khomeini is gone, and all of his team is gone. Then a second group came in, they're all gone. And now you have the third group, and they're a little concerned about being gone too.
And for more on this, we are joined now by Victoria Coates. She's the Vice President of National Security at the Heritage Foundation.
Ah, there's your true ruler, ladies and gentlemen. The Heritage Foundation. A mix of hardcore Swedish house mafia, the old Swedish Protestants, no pretend Russian Jews in the hierarchy there. They were Greek Orthodox, they were Catholics, hardcores. And then they decided to employ a bunch of Irving Kristol, good old Frankfurt School commie Trotskyites out of the University of Chicago to be their intellectual leads. Anyway, those days are gone. Basically, who's running things, who's running Trump, is a slightly unholy alliance, very similar to Queen Elizabeth I, the Hofjuden, the Courtiers, and so you could say the Walsinghams of Queen Elizabeth I and the Cecils, the William Cecils, are fighting with the courtiers of Europe. It's an unholy alliance. It's so uncanny, trust me. We'll talk about it. You'll go, well, you're right. You're right. That is kind of, it's like a repeat. He's fighting with the Pope, and it's the same thing. I don't know whether they're doing it on purpose or, God has a sense of humor. But anyway, there is one of the true rulers, intellectuals of who's running things. The Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, a bunch of Texas billionaires, retired serving special forces, generals, military, all sorts. They are really running things in a quasi-unholy alliance. Remember Steve Bannon, when he fought with Jared Kushner and Ivanka and he wanted Chabad out. He hates Lutnick, calls Lutnick the used car salesman. They wanted Lutnick as, would you believe, Treasury Secretary instead of Scott Bessent. And it was Bannon and the Heritage who said, like Hal, get that used car salesman, put him in commerce. And ironically, that smiling used car salesman's probably not bad for the job in a sense. But I want them all gone. I want Trump gone. I want them. Let's just put J.D. Vance in, put Peter Thiel's boyfriend in. It doesn't matter. The Pentagon's running stuff. Heritage, it's being run. But we need to break off this unholy alliance with these Kabbalistic occult pieces of garbage. It doesn't mean everything's fine. It just means we've got someone to have you ever wondered why Chabad Lubavitch is there? Not, run-of-the-mill Orthodox Jew, Orthodox rabbi. No. It's Chabad Lubavitch. And once you understand their foundations, their drug trafficking, drug money laundering, sex slave trade, organ trafficking. I mean, just the lowest of the low. Seriously. A lot of them snipped the forelocks and they're now in Unit 8200 in Telpiot. I know, because I met they're actually pretty cool guys, but one of them married a Catholic. Every Jew's dream, every Jew's male's dream is to marry a blonde-haired, buxom German Catholic. That's the dream. So we need to clarify a few things along the way. But that's who's running. Donald Trump doesn't know his elbow from his asshole. It's a war between the Jews and the non-Jews, as Henry Kissinger said. And that's literally what's happening. Basically, they're enriching Trump with some of the most outrageous, in-your-face corruption you've ever seen in your life. The Democrats handle the low-end, low-brow, dirty, pus-ridden corruption with like the Somalia stuff, whatever. That's all the low-end, like street, pathetic crime. And, right now, the cliche Republicans are handling the really high-end theft, money out of the Pentagon, billions. They say anywhere from 4 to 8 billion is in Trump's meme coins accounts. It'll be 14 billion by the time he leaves. And basically, Chabad as well are running messages backwards and forwards to Russia, up to Putin, up to City of London, and they're collecting money, literally collecting money. They're extorting Miriam Adelson. They're literally extorting their own Jews. That's what Chabad does. It's what court Jews do. They extort and control other Jews. Just low. This is the lowest lowbrow presidency in history, who's also doing some very good geopolitical things, even if the eggs prices are higher. Everything's fine. The US is dominating. The Pentagon is running things. Donald Trump does not tell the Pentagon where to put the aircraft carriers, okay? It's fine. It's all fine. This is a war between US elites, their little helpers, their little golem helpers, Chabad and the rest of them, with the EU and City of London. That's the fight, and it's good. Iran needs to be taken down with a minimum loss of life and turned into not a globalist paradise, which it is now, turn it into an Iranian nationalist paradise with an uncorrupt politician like, Dr. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who complained for a decade about the corruption of the clerics and by inference, the Ayatollah, big no-no. Exposed so much corruption, complained about their Swiss and Dubai bank accounts, and then he was out and he's banned from running. He's still alive, thank God. God willing, anyone who's smart, the Crown Prince is a piece of garbage. He'll be doing deals with Israel City, London in 5 seconds. What you want is Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, a MAGA, make Iran great again. So he'll do deals. He doesn't like it. He's not going to like America. He's not going to like Trump. It's not the point. He wants to build his country up. He's a civil engineer and he's not stupid. And he's not a globalist, another one of these pretend Muslims with their turbans and their beards, with their Swiss and Dubai bank accounts like the IRGC. Corrupt as hell. Corrupt as hell. Okay, so get the Iranian nationalist in, God willing, minimum loss of life, and get Iran to the sphere of orbit of nationalist United States. There's a long way to go. This is a 20-year project. Rome was not built in a day. Do not trust the plan, but you could sort of kind of trust, but definitely verify. How about that? Let's just work on getting this orange clown, disgusting, pus-ridden bit of filth out with his pedophile ring friends. All right, all of them. Kash Patel, the drunk. I mean, it's absurd. I mean, it's a circus. Enough. Have enough dignity, please, America, to say, we know the scam. You're going to threaten us with Rahm Emanuel and Ari's brother. You're going to threaten us with Kamala or some stupid lunatic Democrat. You run them. And then you're going to say, well, I guess we need Trump. Otherwise, we'll get Kamala or Rahm Emanuel. And that's the game. While Rahm's brother, Ari Emanuel, is running Trump and friends. All being coordinated. People say, oh, Ari's okay. Rahm's that horrible one. Ari's okay. Oh, Ari's okay. And we've explained the links in with Roger Stone and Alex Jones, all the things the leftists, cliche leftists who hate Trump will never tell you. They don't tell you about Chabad or Lubavitch. No one's attacking Trump. It's all a great scam. I just want heritage in charge, a bunch of serving and retired Pentagon generals. I want some Texas bill. You just run it, and God willing, enough Americans will work out the right-left dialectic crap and start taking back the country and saying, I want billionaires to pay tax. I want justice for 9/11. Who did it? I want Ode Genome. We want it all. We want all of it coming out, and it's slowly coming out. You watch. All right, and we're going to talk about all of that. And we want billionaires to pay some tax, please. Pay off the debt with all the billionaires, all their hidden bank accounts, all their Cayman Island accounts, all their tax havens. We know where they are. The NSA knows where they are. Just send in the Marines and go and get it. Just go and get it all. Just take it. They get in the way, well, I'd say they'll learn quick, won't they? How many guns do they have? About zero? See, America, you're sitting pretty. And all these clowns telling you it's over. All right, you got to see them as the enemy. Literally the enemy. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They're getting paid, just like Tucker and Candace. They're working for the City of London. They're just trying to break off US public opinion from Israel without exposing the conspiracy. They're not going to tell you who did 9/11 and why. They're not going to do it. Candace is going to lose her. Bridget Macron has a PP case. She's going to lose that. She may have even been put there to lose and to disgrace. She's got so many things wrong, along with Ian Carroll, about the assassination stuff. It's all stuff about the rifle. Oh, this is right. They are so stupid. They have made so many mistakes. And maybe that's the plan too. So that when people work out, my God, look at all these mistakes these people made. But we don't need to hear from them. I just need to know that a 30-06 from 150 yards doesn't put a little hole in your neck. It takes your head almost cleanly off. Literally, it'll fracture the vertebrae, and literally maybe his head would be left on with a bit of skin. That would be it. You don't need me. I fired plenty of 22s and 223s and 308s, and the 30-06 is even bigger, heavier, doing 2,700 feet per second with a big, large caliber, with a big shockwave behind it. And Charlie Kirk's neck of steel did not stop that round. That's all you need to know. You don't need to hear Candace's, the Egyptian plane flew here and that flew there and Charlie's underpants were blue and did they put the mic on? Why is he elevated? All right, that's the distraction bullshit. You don't need them. They just want us all talking and balking, bark, 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 like chickens, going round in circles, rather than who did 9/11? What is the Ode Genome plan? Who is Chris Boleyn? I don't know, other stuff like, we've got an Elizabethan theme here today. Where is the missing $5 trillion from the Pentagon? What other questions do we have? The 2008 crash, where all these bankers basically robbed $3 trillion out of the US taxpayer and then paid themselves bonuses. Bankers, bankers, bankers. Mexicans, black people, brown people. I hate whites. I hate blacks. I hate fags. I hate straight people. Oh, look, we're all fighting. I hate Sunni. I hate Shia. I hate Muslims. I hate Christians. I hate America. You see? Bankers, baby. Cecil Rhodes, Alfred Milner, Chatham House, Council on Foreign Relations, Roundtable Groups, Club of Rome. We need this history. That's all we talked about in the day. Bill Cooper, Kay Griggs, Reverend Ted Pike. These were the people we didn't listen to this trashy gossip. Fascinating as it is, because I am the king of gossip, so of course I'm watching. And there's Tucker and Candace. Oh, So anyway, Iran's going perfectly. Again, it's a war between China, which is the city of London, and Europe. It's the same people. Russia, Putin, city of London, best friend with Klaus for 32 years. After that, I first met you at Davos. My Klaus, my dear friend. Klaus, we penetrate the cabinets. Young global leaders like Pierre Trudeau and Angela Merkel and Vladimir Putin. Young global leader, Gerhard Schroeder, there on the board of Rothschild. Gerhard Schroeder, best friends with Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin's kissing little boys' tummies. Come on, people. Alex Craner, just die already, you freaking moron. Are you Greek Orthodox or are you Yahud? Serious question. I know a lot of Greeks. Many identify as Jewish ethnically. Sincere Greek Orthodox, actually, but see, this is a problem. What is a Jew? We've got to go into that later, and we'll talk about it, all this new legislation. So everything's fine, but we're not talking about the right things, which is the way they like it. Vladislav Surkov, we're just going to have crazy circus, and then we're actually going to tell them that we're running all sides. And then the politically astute people will just switch off because, I can't deal with this. The morons will stay engaged in their little fight, their little World Wrestling Federation fight. But politically astute people will just say, I can't handle this. I'm out of here. This is so stupid and ridiculous. I had enough. Well, we need that coherent narrative. We need that coherent narrative Adam Curtis talks about. I'm going to try and give you one which, God willing, if the internet was ever real, more and more people, whether they like anyone or not, would just start to get, because your life is on the line, ultimately the life of your kids. You'd think people would be a bit worried about that, but, don't forget to like and subscribe. Coffee mugs on special. Don't you forget it. This week only. Remember, if we sell 10 million coffee mugs, the tooth fairy comes out, she waves a magic wand and suddenly everything's fine. But you don't want to engage in the political grind like Mary Silver, exhausted. Now Mary's sick, got the flu, she's exhausted. She's got 20 million things going on. Who wants to do that? That's boring. Let's have more excitement. Coffee mug sales in my little studio, and I can tell you the world is ending. There's going to be no fertilizer. The gas is running out. Woo, woo, woo. And see how that works. So we need that coherent narrative, and I'm going to try to combine the courts of Queen Elizabeth I with everything we saw up to World War II and to what's happening today. I only realized 20 minutes ago, my God, this is a repeat of the Elizabethan courts right now in Washington, D.C. They're fighting with the Catholics. We got the court Jews in there in Chabad. We've got all the occult stuff going on. We've got the practical advisors like William Cecil. He's fighting with Walsingham, who was the advisors to Queen Elizabeth. And there's the Kabbalist, John Dee, the eccentric conjurer. He's in there. He's in there as Howard Lutnick, or the Chabad advisor. I think, my God, this is uncanny. And you're going, nah, wait for it. You'll love it. So anyway, let's finish with Iran for now. It's all very fascinating. Weapons are going bang, go America, all that stuff. This is what $1 trillion military gives you. A possum cannot fart. A camel cannot fart in that region without being seen. You think their little speedboats are racing around with their AKs? The big 300, and they're all jumping up, and you think you couldn't put armed men on those boats? They can deal with Somali pirates. You can deal with a couple of Iranians in a speedboat. They have side-scanning radar, millimeter wave, that can not only see things out to 300 miles, literally on the surface of the ocean, 300 miles. They had them in 1990. They could track a single vehicle moving along a road at 280 miles. That's 30 plus years ago. And you don't think they have mapped, and I mean mapped to the millimeter, that entire coastline? You don't think? You don't think they got thermal imaging drones, visual imaging drones, satellites, and they're just 24/7 flying around? But you're telling me, see, you just got to think for yourself. Oh, they're fighting back. We've got Tear Around Timmy, that stupid idiot. moron, he's Al Mayadeen. We have one. I mean, it's so, these people are delusional. I think it's like watching the end of the Second World War, Hitler's bunker, Martin Bormann, Hitler's General Steiner will come from the north and encircle the Soviets. And General Steiner was out of fuel, ammunition, and tanks, and it was never happening. I mean, they're delusional. They make Bad Dad Bob look like a geopolitical expert. But that's the delusion in Iran. There's plenty of smart people in Iran. They're just not in any position of power. They're not allowed. They want dumbasses. They don't want anyone learning English. They literally discourage learning English. There's a reason. Because if everyone starts learning English, they'll start to work out how things work. They're political people. They all learn Arabic because they're meant to be doing their job in the Middle East. I'd say that sums up Iran. And if you think, they're so confused, they don't know what to do, what have they done? They didn't have a plan. They know exactly what they're doing. As Pete Red Shoe Handsome Hegseth says when he's sober, all right, this is not Iraq and it is not Paul Bremer. You don't understand how important that was when he said that. That was a declaration of war. We know what you did, Kissinger and associates. We're not making the same Heritage Foundation mistake. All right, so just get ready for Tucker to run for the Senate. He's not presidential material. They know that, but he'll run for the Senate. They're positioning themselves for the future. But we'll see about that. I actually think they're going to fall down flat on their faces sooner rather than later. Definitely. And just to make the point, oh no, let's leave it, Tucker. No, we need to watch this. So that's Iran done. All right, we're going to move on now. But before we move on to Courts of Queen Elizabeth, before we move on to, we need to have a quick look at Tucker, 3 minutes praising Sharia law. Now, I don't care. Let's get that up. It's not about Sharia law for me. I could live in a Sharia law country. Easy. I don't drink, don't smoke, don't take drugs. I'm boring. I don't like 18-year-old filled with testosterone idiots in their V8 cars. Not that I was ever like that. I'm boring. So of course at 55, I can fit right in. But that's not the point here. Whatever floats your boat, but you're not going to tell me how I have to live. And the problem with these totalitarian type systems is the corruption. And like I say, the biggest problem in Iran, their theocratic society that was artificially imposed on them, is that it's the corruption. You can't get rid of them because they're so corrupt. Look at the Saudis. Look at MBS, a coke-snorting piece of shit. Can't get rid of them. It's the corruption is so bad. So you got to hope you get a benevolent king. Well, a fat chance. Good luck. They're well and truly gone. But it's the insincerity of Tucker Carlson. Look at him. Oh, I love Sharia. I believe he's getting paid. At first, I thought he was just one of the handlers and narrative controllers. He says, I don't like Trump, so he captures an audience. Then he says, oh, it's because his family's being threatened. And you can see how then people will make excuses for Trump. See, it's very sophisticated, but you get it. But no. This guy's getting paid. City of London, Qatar, City of London. That is, they own that place. It's filled with British expats, MI6. Filled. Right? Rupert Murdoch, the globalist with Heinz Kissinger, his old boss. Tucker is the skunk works. He's the skunk works. All right, like Lockheed Skunk Works. He's the skunk works of Murdoch. He's getting paid big bickies to push this. Listen to this. You have a look at his, but you seriously think he actually believes a word he's saying? Money's good, baby. It's really very simple. You know, someone said to me, he's a dog looking for a master. He's not into weird sex. He doesn't like tranny porn. He's so boring, but he's a dog looking for a master. He's a softer, gentler Dick Cheney. That's why he does the fly fishing thing. That's Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney loves fly fishing. That's who they're all working with, all right? That's why they don't talk about 9/11. Tell them if only the CIA will release the files, okay? Imagine the audacity. Make a 4 or 5 part series, and it's not even 10% of Carl Cameron, Fox News, 2001. Come on. If only the CIA would release the files, we could find out who did 9/11. That's what he says, constantly, over and over. And Candace Owens, your hero, the Jews. And she does a one-liner to Laura Loomer, your people killed 3,000 Americans on 9/11. No. Get Chris Boleyn on. Tell us what the Ode to Genon plan is and tell us what happened that day. We already know there's 5 million documentaries made which explain it all. But Candace is confused too. Who knows? She's going to do a documentary on who killed Jesus. That'll be the next one because that's irrelevant. You see how it's working? So watch the insincere Tucker Carlson. You will understand Tucker Carlson.
Sharia law is bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard
comes
that.
the laugh.
It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad. I don't know why. It's just like years of brainwashing. I just like travel so much that I see it. There's not a single Western city that's thriving. And they're all degrading in exactly the same way. I'm not Muslim. I'm not for Sharia law. On the other hand, compared to what? Compared to Baltimore? You know, shut up. Because I travel outside the Western world, the white world. I'll just be honest, the white world.
Right.
I travel a lot in the Middle East. It's amazing. It's amazing. Whatever it's worth, a pretty...
Have you been in the Middle East? Go to Dubai. It's a shithole. It's dry. There are no trees. Why don't they want trees there? Because it'll interfere with the 5G, 28 gigahertz high frequency signal, smart city. It's fake. It's just a drug money laundering capital of the world right now. It's where all the British expats are, laundering drug money. That's all it is. That's where all the bank accounts for half the IRGC are in Dubai, Sunni Dubai. Go there. Why aren't they greening the desert? The Sufyan was in. That's how we also got along, me and Sufyan, because we're into permaculture. Why aren't the Saudis greening the desert? Why aren't they using their resources instead of these half-witted, ridiculous, embarrassing mega projects they do? You think Saudis are happy about this? You know, free Saudi Arabia. After you free Iran, free Saudi Arabia and the UAE from these thieving clowns. Not even like King Faisal. They're not even a river to their people. It's how disgusting they are. While they demand Sharia law, while they are drinking whiskey and partying with white hooker girls and Russian whores in Dubai. Or Syrian whores, desperate Syrian refugees. The women are prostituting themselves after they got out of Syria. In Lebanon, in Beirut, they're disgusting. Animals, filthy. Free the Saudis of this filth. At least the Jordanian king is, tolerable. MBS, he killed that journalist, chopped him into pieces. That's not propaganda. He's disgusting. Coke addicted, loves the white women, doing all the whiskey up at the hotels of Paris, France. Him and his friends. Wahhabist, Sharia law. It's just a mechanism to keep the Saudis down and lock them all up. It's disgusting. And listen to Tucker Carlson. He's demonic. Tucker Carlson is the definition of a demon, of a golem. He's a hollow shell. Someone said he's a dog looking for a master. I remember thinking, my whole body resonated with a ding like a bell. And I just went, that's Tucker Carlson. Perfect. Dog looking for a master. Wherever the money is, he will go.
Fervent Christian, and I feel completely comfortable here in the seat of Islam. But you go to the Gulf, and
yeah, you me too. I love Muslim countries, but try building a church. Do you want to address the corruption? Good luck. Good luck. Don't tell me it's free. That's why America is sacred. Because without freedom, you can't be a Wahhabist. Without freedom, you can't be a Catholic. Without freedom, you can't be a Buddhist. Without freedom, you can't drive from here to Idaho. Without freedom, you can't open a donut shop. It's freedom. Look at this clown. He's disgusting. They'll all be jumping and getting their apartments next to Arnold Milchan in London in Highgate very soon.
And it's incredible to be in a place that has pride in itself, that believes in its religion and culture, that thinks we're onto something. This is great.
Yeah, in between the whiskey and the Coke parties. Yeah, with the religion and culture, of course.
What we're doing, we're really proud of this. Those people are happy.
Proud of what? Your whores for the city of London. That's where all your money goes. But do you think the Saudis, you don't think Saudis don't know this? UAE? Know where all the money goes? That's why they got to keep paying off their kids and making them lazy and just giving them lots of money and their free education in America. And they're going to have group sex orgies and do coke and get into bisexuality, homosexual acts. And then they come back, put their little hijabs, and now they're little angels. But they're all compromised. This is just a fraud, the whole damn thing. Fraud. Through and through. It's absolutely stinkingly corrupt. All of them, including Iran. All in the pocket of the EU globalists.
They're welcoming of others. They're tolerant of diversity.
Tolerant of diversity? Go and preach the gospel in a street in Dubai and see what happens, dude. Come on, just stop it. But the good thing is they'll let you know the rules and regulations there. It's not like you go to America and people think they're free and then they find out real quick, not quite. Not quite. Go to court thinking, well, I'll be in a court of law, I'll present, and you realize how corrupt the courts are. You know the rules in those areas. Knowing the rules, I don't go out preaching on the streets, which includes Malaysia, where they kidnapped and killed and disappeared. No one knows where he is when I was there in 2017. Just after that South Korean brother of the dictator was killed at Kuala Lumpur airport with the toxic chemical. Same time, Christians were kidnapped, evangelical types. But I just know the rules. Follow the rules, it's fine. It's their home. If you don't want to, leave. But to hear him praising like this is absurd. But he's a whore and he's being paid. That's why King Charles is visiting. Please let us control the Middle East. Tucker and Candace are City of London. Candace is pure Scottish right with the homosexual husband. He's not even bisexual. I doubt they've ever consummated. Bridget Macron has a pee-pee. She's got 500 things wrong with that whole Charlie Kirk conspiracy. All we need to know is the 30-06, and we know it's a fraud. We don't need Candace to run us in circles.
Where they're into things that I'm not into, like, I don't know, polygamy or Islam.
Beheading, and they're all a bunch of hypocrites.
And I can sort of look at it and be like, no one's forcing this on me. I'm not mad at you for being a polygamist.
He's like, you know what Islam means? Submission. I don't think I'm against that. Actually, anyone who submits to God, like, I'm just for that.
If you have a society in which people...
Tucker Carlson has never expressed a single religious principle in his life. He gets paid $40 million to go away from Murdoch after the election conspiracy. That's funding for his Tucker Carlson network. 27 permanent staff, half of which are from where? From Fox News. He still works for Murdoch, Kissinger and Associates, City of London. It's not a surprise that Trump does something good, or the Trump administration. There's a few things they've done. But number one, they're controlling the choke points. We're going to talk about that very soon. And then when they control the choke points, what happens? When they get rid of Iran, it's not some plucky little country fighting the evil Jews. They work with them. I've explained it a million times. They were there to break up pan-Arab nationalism. They were there to force in the Ode Genon plan. They were there so the Arab majority Sunni countries would sign deals with Israel, peace deals. Do you understand? I mean, the leadership are in the bag. They're already corrupt pieces of garbage. They don't care. They just ask me where the money is. The pretend Muslims, like the pretend Jews and the pretend Christians. But you've got to get those bright young colonels in the military, the intelligence apparatus. Do you think they like seeing this? They do not like it. Well, you got to get them on board. And then the leaders come, look, bros, we got to work with them. It's like Whitey Bulger working with the police, and he tells his 2IC, look, I got to work with the police. He needs an excuse. So the leadership can go to these managerial class and get them on board and say, look, we've got to do this. The Hadiths, 70,000 Jews from Isfahan, they're coming in through Iran. They're going to smash the Arab Sunni world. We have to do a deal with Israel. It's horrible. We have to. Can't you see? Can't you see? That's why Bibi didn't want to take down General Soleimani. No, that's our asset, you asshole. Bibi wasn't running backwards and forwards to America to tell them to attack our enemy Iran. He was going, please don't attack our enemy Iran. We need them. We need to arm them with a nuclear weapon, or pretend to arm them with a nuclear weapon, so they can threaten the Saudis and the UAE and the Sunnis. And then we come and say, oh, we need an alliance to combat this horrible Iranian Shia threat. And you've seen the rift between Sunni and Shia. It's really severe. They always break up their enemies. Yeah, they find a crack in the wall, they stick their little rat claws in, and they rip it apart. Whether it's male versus female, Sunni versus Shia, Catholic versus Protestant, it's the same thing every time. Homo versus straight, whatever they can find. Gender wars, woke wars, as long as we don't talk about bankers. As long as we don't talk about MBS, the devout Wahhabists, doing all those blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girls he loves up there in the Ritz-Carlton in Paris, France on coke and alcohol. It's just a piece of stinking, filthy, disgusting garbage, like they all are. And when Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is complaining about these clerics and their Swiss bank accounts and their Dubai bank accounts and the IRGC, if he wasn't so popular with the poor, the working class and the rural areas, he'd be dead. 100%. Dead. D-E-A-D. We need a clean out of all this filth, including Donald Trump, Chabad, and people like Tucker Carlson. Hitler never did it for the money. That's why Carlson is a whore. Look at him right now. When he talks right now, he is so fake. He's so fake. Look at him. He's just thinking of that sweet cash. It's just money, a lot of it. It's not like he's ideologically aligned with anything. He just wants the cash.
Bow down before God 5 times a day? I'm not against that. I should bow down before God 5 times a day.
The sincerity just oozes. And he's so theologically, he's got Fatima behind him, so he's insinuating as a Catholic without saying he's Catholic. Submission. You seriously think this man he doesn't even pray. He's so fake. All these Catholic converts suddenly, from J.D. Vance to Candace Owens. I mean, seriously? Candace Owens admits, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Mason of Turning Point USA. Well, now she's in the real deep Golem, Chabad, Kabbalist, Scottish Rite Masonry, aren't you now, Candace Owens, with your demon? I mean, she's going to end up. Watch them collapse. They're already running around, leaving the United States. Remember I said to people, wait till all your bank accounts come out, who's funding you. This is just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
And I wish I lived around people who bowed down before God 5 times a day.
The Emirates or Qatar or Saudi Arabia, and you see that when people are self-confident, when they're really pleased with what they're doing and they believe that their system is the right system, that self-confidence results in a kind of welcoming attitude. Mm-hmm. So you'll be sitting at dinner in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, dude, it's Arab culture, dude. Arab culture is all about what's going on, how are you, sit down, you have tea, you eat some dates. It's just Arab culture. It's been around for 1,000 years. I'm sorry, why is it so mystical?
And you'll say, I'm really kind of pro-Jesus. Like, they're Muslims.
They're Muslims.
It's a country governed by Sharia law.
Right.
And they're like, that's great. People are tolerant and open-minded.
Yes, Christ is a prophet of Islam. Well, Jesus is a prophet of Islam to them. He never died on the cross, blah, 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 whatever. I don't care. But he's revered as a great prophet, unlike other people. That's why I love Mahmoud Ahmadinejad sending a Christmas message. And I believe him. He's sincere. And he's trying to say, hey, dummy, we're not your enemy. We could be your friend. But Tucker's not over there trying to say we can all be friends. All right? He's not doing. He's trying to get leverage because King Charles wants to move in. There's a whole range of people because they want to keep all the money, all right, all the resource, rich cash. They want to keep it in that City of London network. Keep it in Europe. That's the fight, and that's who he works for. He's going after Donald Trump for a reason, and it's not because he finds out he's going to ruin America. No, he's trying to get leverage for his master, the City of London. That's why Mark Carney, Keir Starmer running to China in January this year, and they just started just going for Trump, because really going for Trump. It wasn't just criticism. It wasn't just criticism. Because they knew less than 4 weeks later, February 28th, what happens? Iran. They knew it was coming. Mark Carney, the London central banker, that halfwit, we either get together and get a seat at the table or we're on the menu. And he ain't joking. And I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of it.
Happy? But you should know, Seth, that the real danger is Sharia law. Sharia law. And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this with a rape rate of 0 where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't.
Yeah, and the leadership are completely corrupt, don't follow their own rules, drink whiskey, do cocaine, and screw white blonde-haired girl prostitutes in the Ritz-Carlton. Yeah, and rob their people blind and send all the money overseas. Yeah, well, who wouldn't want that? Just like the Iranians wouldn't want, their wonderful system. And yet they're all going to go broke and they're all in deep, deep systemic trouble because they never greened their deserts. They have no indigenous workforce. None of them want to work. They're all spoiled little brats, and they can't grow their own food. They have literally nothing but gigantic, ridiculous mega projects. Who wouldn't want to be like that? What an absurdity. What an absurdity. So there you go. There's Tucker Carlson. I'm going to do something radical, and let's leave, because it's important, let's leave Joe Rogan, Ari Emanuel, and the psychedelics. I want to get straight into Queen Elizabeth I. I'm going to do a show of its own with the psychedelic stuff, because it's important, and it's my favorite subject, by the way. Let's quickly watch the intro to the movie Elizabeth I talked about on, Rich Does Politics. And again, I got that bit wrong about Walsingham and John Dee, and Jeffrey Rush plays him. But let's watch this. It's a few minutes.
By order of their gracious majesties,
yes.
Queen Mary and King Philip, we are come to witness the burning of these Protestant heretics.
Burning of heretics. These good old days, I say. Put me in charge.
Who have denied the authority of the one true Catholic Church and of His Holiness.
Those were the days.
Let
Good
them
burning.
burn for all eternity.
Your Grace, Protestants are already returning from abroad.
Yes,
Does this remind you of Sunni and Shia?
and have made plans to massacre every Catholic in England.
Will you leave your kingdom to a heretic?
The Queen is dead! Long live the Queen!
Elizabeth, Queen of England. A court to worship you, a country to obey you. Poems written celebrating your beauty.
That was Richard Attenborough playing William Cecil. It said that William Cecil was the more pragmatic, Walsingham was more ruthless, and they would compete to advise Queen Elizabeth. Remember, this is the origin of the British Empire. John Dee called it the British Empire. Or was it? No, it was Walsingham called it the British Empire. And the choke points. That's where it started. So when you see the Straight of Hormuz, you're watching the repeat, you're watching the restructuring of this. This is House O'Kernan versus House Atreides out of June, the documentary, masquerading as a sci-fi film. You'll get it. Again, it needs a voiceover. I can't do consistent talking head ones because too many things are flooding my head.
Music composed in your honor, and they will be nothing to you.
Your Majesty should know that you have inherited a most parlous and degenerate state. It's threatened from abroad by the ambitions of France and Spain, and is weaker in strength, in men, monies, and riches.
That's William Cecil. Does that sound familiar? Listen to his rhetoric. We are threatened. We are degenerate.
Than I have ever known it.
Why, we must tear ourselves apart for this small question of religion.
Fighting over religion. Yeah, there's their polarized society. You see? Who's going to win? Who's going to get power?
Surely, my lords, it is better to have a single Church of England.
Religious institutions being used as political control mechanisms? My goodness.
Madam, the bishops are against you and have no fear of you.
That is Jeffrey Rush playing Walsingham. Oh, that's such a good movie. The acting. It's the crap today. It's like, oh, I crave it. Oh, I ache.
They do not expect you to survive.
Your Majesty would improve all these matters if you would agree to marry.
I may be a woman, but if I choose, I have the heart of a man. I will have one mistress here.
Your hand in mine.
And no master.
It will be done.
Your Majesty's.
They never think she was this powerful woman. She was kept alive by other forces protecting her, mainly William Cecil and Walsingham. When they took their number one spiritual advisor was John Dee, Oxford. He was all through Europe He was into astronomy, the occult, conjuring, which is witchcraft. And Walsingham would complain. He hated that aspect. Walsingham was a real Puritan. Real Puritan. That's how William Cecil was more practical. And those two would kind of fight and liaise. But Queen Elizabeth would often go directly to John Dee. You could say he's not a Kabbalist. No, he's a Kabbalist. I believe he met Rabbi Lowe in Prague, the inventor of the golem. I believe that 100%. And this is where you see the integration, the beginnings of this unholy alliance, British Empire, Crown Corporate, and the Hofjuden, the money lenders. Remember, money lending was considered a sin. Money lending was considered beneath the landholders and the noble families. And you could argue these, I don't want to make these Goy to be these wonderful people. They were pieces of shit too. But along would come these little Kabbalists. My liege, you have problems. You are fighting amongst yourselves. Oh no. Who do you think was pushing Martin Luther? I believe he had good intentions. Do you think one man against the mighty Holy Roman Empire of the Catholic Church? He had the Hofjuden behind him, the Hanseatic Leagues of Germany. Hofjuden, German nobles. No, they consider themselves Jews. Many are secretly Jews. Book of Esther, marrying into the crown. They slither in. You have Jewish communities just minding their own business. Oh, Jewish communities living in peace. Oh, a few too many converting. They slither in, start causing problems, death, slither like a snake. Before you know it, everybody's fighting. Everybody hates each other. My liege, can I assist? Oh, my faithful Jew, I have this problem, that problem. Oh, I have a cousin in Hong Kong. I have a cousin in France. I have a friend, an associate, a trading partner, a guild member. Perhaps I can solve your problem. Lo and behold, he solves the problem. The king, oh, my faithful Jew. Jew boy, Kissinger. My faithful Jew. Thank you. You've helped me so much. You're my liege. I'm here. See, the indispensable Jew. Maybe I can call it this. The indispensable Jew. I'll put it on the thumbnail. You see? And that's what you're seeing, the big fight now. The noble courts of Washington with King Trump. And there's Lutnick. My king, we can help. We can get you a lot of meme coin cash. We can extort all this money. Don't mention 9/11. Don't mention this. Don't mention that. We'll make ourselves indispensable. We will align with you against the EU and all the rest of our, other people. And there's Heritage, and there's Walsingham and William Cecil fighting. Everyone's fighting, for control of the courts. You see how it's so identical. Same thing happened in Germany with Hitler.
Body and person are no longer her own property. They belong to the state.
I am my father's daughter. I am not afraid of anything.
Innocence is the most precious thing you possess. Lose that and you lose your soul.
Oh, yes. John Gielgud, Josephine's written Richard Attenborough. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Great cast. Great. I mean, it's not a docudrama. I mean, it's Hollywood, It's not all true. But she's a fascinating character. But she wasn't the power. The power was behind the throne. She was the actor thrust forward, and she was an actress. She was probably the first feminist when you think about it. And she said, while she had umpteen affairs with umpteen different men of the court and no heir, she wore all the white makeup and said, I will be a virgin. I will be married to the crown. I will be married to England. Just like Hitler said, wanted to keep Eva Braun out of the picture and said, I am married to Germany. Same theme, probably the same people involved. This whole system is being ripped apart as we speak. Okay, let me do a quick summary. Let's end it up here. This is stuff I'm doing with Perplexity to get my script ready. It's very important to clarify how we got from there to there to there, Silvermaster spiring all the way from the court of Queen Elizabeth. So this is my magnum opus, if I can pull it off. My brain will stay focused for 5 seconds. But Gemini is very limited. I often will do stuff with Gemini, then put it into Perplexity, which I believe is Jody Vance, Peter Thiel stuff. But let's get a little overview. Now, this is not fact. I will gather I know a little about a lot, and I can send you in the right direction. But I ain't there like getting John Dee mixed up with John Walsingham. That's why I say you get an expert on, but I will point you in the right direction. Go this direction, march to the sounds of the guns, and I will send you in the right direction. You'll find it. But do not expect perfect facts and recall from me, especially now. I used to be able to do it, not anymore. You got to get the experts on. Wouldn't that be wonderful if Rich, would take some direction? He's not, because he's trying to run a business. But he means well. I'm just, in the old days, people weren't interested in running a business. They just wanted to get the truth out because the ability to reach so many people was a real novelty. Anyway, let's just read these little bits. So John Dee, again, he was the occult guy. Oxford, traveled all through Europe, meets his Kabbalistic rabbi in Prague. Beginnings of the Hofjuden, the court Jews, that intermixing, intermarrying, noble courts. This is the unholy alliance still going on today, fighting, breaking up. It's very interesting once you see that historical context past his prologue, and you can see it moving through Milner, the Milner Group, Cecil Rhodes, the Round Table groups, the funding and financing of these groups, this getting together of these born-to-rule assholes in Europe and the UK, wanting to reclaim their colonies in this unholy alliance, trying to reclaim their colonies now. And there's the indispensable Jew running around, getting to understand how to get from there to 1913 for the Federal Reserve, 1776, stopping that, what, individual sovereignty? Whoa. No. We form a highly controlled centralized state, and we'll bring in the technocracy to run things, barons and lords and ladies and heroes, and we'll put our actors up, just like they've been doing for 500 plus years and beyond. And all this occult stuff in the background. But moving through 1913, Federal Reserve, these round table groups, all those links in, Allen, John Foster Dulles, all the fighting, the law firms who are super powerful, getting into places like Kissinger and Associates, the round table groups, the Council on Foreign Relations, the offshoot of Chatham House, Tim Pool and Chatham House. Just seeing how they move in and slither in, bringing all those Bolshevik Jews out of the East, running them from 1870 on into the United States, getting ready to subvert. Stay quiet, Book of Esther. Esther, marry into this family. Change your name to Smith. Okay? Marry a blonde-haired, blue-eyed man so you can produce some blonde-haired, blue-eyed children. This is how they think. 4 or 5 generations down, you're Erica Kirk. Placing long-term sleepers. It wasn't an invention of the Soviets. It was not an invention of the Soviets. Now there's thousands of them. And they keep bringing their people in, opening the gates, letting them through the tunnels. Come in. Oh, it's Mr. Smith. Hey, there I'm boy, I'm a horse riding. Yee-haw. I'm in the NRA. I'm trafficking drugs through 40,000 seat stadiums as a cover for foreign interests. I'm laundering drug money. My brother's in a Navy SEAL, and they're all interconnected, interlinked. And you see how that movement comes through, the Silver Master Spiring, that'll get done over. And McCarthy comes in, and even Hoover, he was a party remover. And then they've got to break that up. They've got to reassemble themselves. Now they're something else. Now they're indispensable Israel. Indispensable. You need us in the Middle East. You need us to keep the commies out. They're all commies. It's right in front of your face, moving through now to where we see it's all teetering on the edge. Let's talk about this. We're just going to quickly read a few from John Dee and Walsingham to Pax Silica. This one I want to tie in. Pax Silica, choke points. It's the whole British Empire control mechanism. Mapping the intelligence, finance, technology nexus. This is executive summary. Trust me, Perplexity pees all over Gemini. Really does. The conversation traverses 5 centuries of interconnected power structures. From the occult intelligence fusion of Elizabethan England. And just let you know, you're not going to get this answer unless you put the right inputs in. So it's not all just give me this analysis and it just pops up. You got to put the right inputs in. Through the rise of the Hofjuden or court Jews as financial intermediaries for European nobility into the formal Anglo-American establishment networks of the 20th century, and finally to the digital intelligence complex exemplified by Unity 200 and Silicon Valley. What emerges is not simply a conspiracy narrative, but a documentable historical evolution in how power organizes itself, shifting from physical territory to liquid capital, information control, and technological infrastructure. All the way back from Queen Elizabeth Court. Each layer builds on the last, and the same structural logic, a small networked elite using superior information and financial leverage to guide state policy, reappears across each era. This is what I want to do, all the way back to Queen Elizabeth. Well, we can go back to Pharaonic Egypt if you like, but let's just stick with the courts of Queen Elizabeth, the British Empire. All right? If we can give that coherent narrative, even if it's not perfect, people go, yeah, I get it. I get it now. Oh, now I know what that means. Yeah, that fact over there, that seemingly isolated fact over there. Now I know how that links with that. Now you can start thinking for yourself. You don't need the experts. And you can start intermixing with yourself. And pretty soon you're talking to a grandma in the Netherlands who knows a guy in IMEC. And then you're talking to someone, then you're talking to this person, then you're talking to that person. Then this person used to service the SR-71 Blackbird and his friends over here. And you start to get your own network happening. And you start to be able to go, I don't need these online experts. I can start to think for myself. That's what I love, where you get that person. They're independent. They're thinking for themselves like God. He says, I gave you a brain. I want you to use it. I want you to argue with me. I am God. I want you to argue with me. You're probably going to be wrong, but I want you to argue. So when God sees you thinking for yourself, as Jesus said, I have come to free the slaves. I have come to free the slaves. Really? I can start thinking for myself. I know what that means. Once you understand the pattern. As Adam Curtis says, we can't get a coherent narrative. Everything's in my face. That's what I want to fight. Because when I see people, I get it. I get a little thrill. So let's go over part one. John Dee, mathematician, spy, and occult architect. These are important matters of history. Who was John Dee? John Dee, December 1608 or March 1609 he was born. He was an English mathematician, astronomer, teacher, astrologer, occultist, and alchemist. He served as court astronomer and advisor to Elizabeth I, spending much of his career bridging natural philosophy with alchemy, divination, and Hermetic philosophy. As a political advisor, he advocated the foundation of English colonies in the New World to form a British Empire, a term he is widely credited with coining. His library at Mortlake was arguably the most significant in England, approximately 2,670 manuscripts compared to Cambridge's 451 and Oxford's 379. This collection served as both a scholarly resource and a practical intelligence hub. He built a network of scientists, intellectuals, and courtiers throughout Europe, which he likely used for intelligence gathering. Dear's the spy, the 007 signature. I didn't know this. I did not know this, but it's quoting Reddit now. That's why I like Perplexity. It's quoting Reddit. But that's true. It is the 007 is widely attributed to him as an insignia of John Dee, the two circles and the number 7, for your eyes only, Queen Elizabeth. He managed a network of informants whose dispatches reached European courts in Paris, Prague, Venice, and Rome, delivered directly to Elizabeth, bypassing her ministers. One notable agent was Anthony Standen, an English Catholic living in Italy who provided vital intelligence on Spanish naval maneuvers ahead of the 1588 Armada. Dee employed invisible ink and ciphers that changed with each communication. And on it goes. The Kabbalistic engagement. Did not derive from a rabbinic teacher in Vienna. Dee was educated at St. John's College, Cambridge, and later at the University of Louvain in Belgium. What an interesting place Belgium is, and the Netherlands. His knowledge came from his library and from the works of Christian Hebrews such as Johann Reuchlin and Cornelius Agrippa. The Vienna rabbi claim appears to be a conflation of several elements. Dee's extensive time at the court of Emperor Rudolf II in Prague, not Vienna, a monarch famous for patronizing alchemists and occultists. Okay, are you seeing that thing? Anyone who just goes, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, or the opposite, the British Crown, the British Empire, the Pilgrim Society, you need to balance that out a bit to see how they have come together in this unholy alliance. The Prague legend of Rabbi Judah Loeb ben Bazil, who received a personal audience with Emperor Rudolf II, their topic likely Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. The famous Golem of Prague legend, which attributed to Loeb approximately 200 years after his death and has no contemporary documentary evidence. I think we know so many of these things are true, regardless. It's like Bibi, the golden calf, and we'll milk it again and again and again, attributed him to 1992 in the Finks bar in Tel Aviv. You just know that's Bibi. You just know. It's like a pattern of behavior. There's a poo. It looks like bear poo. There's a bear nearby. You're pretty sure the bear does do a poo in the woods. I don't need to have filmed the bear doing the poo to work out it's probably that bear. Then you have Sir Francis Walsingham, the original spy master. Again, this is just loosely giving you ideas of characters, like Bibi is a character and Rothschild is a character. So you can get the theme. It's not important about the details, but it's the theme. And you can slowly over time get those details correct, but you'll have the theme. That is the most important thing. Because then you can move in the right direction. You can get a coherent narrative. Choke point, Straight of Hormuz, the EU fighting, City of London, and you can start to see the characters emerging. You can start to see that fight, Heritage Foundation. And you can start to see these battles emerging. It's a war between the Jews and the non-Jews. Right now, they have co-opted a little Kabbalistic cult called Chabad Lubavitch to run errands and messages. But they are fighting 100%. Sir Francis Walsingham served as Queen Elizabeth I's Principal Secretary of State from 1573 to 1590 and became legendary for creating a highly effective intelligence network. Then we can start talking about what? Wilhelm Canaris, the head of the German Abwehr, German Army Intelligence, handing over the code books to John Foster Dulles and Alan Dulles in Switzerland, in Basel. Now we can begin to see how the British won that Second World War through these original networks. He successfully thwarted England's foreign enemies and exposed domestic plotters seeking to return a Roman Catholic monarch to the throne, anticipating methods that would become routine centuries later. Walsingham employed double agents, covert propaganda, disinformation, code braiding, and agents provocateurs. His most famous achievements was unravelling the 1586 Babington plot against Elizabeth. Spies inside Chartley Castle, where Mary, Queen of Scots, was held, intercepted and decoded encrypted communications concealed in a wheelbarrow cork. The decoded evidence was used to establish Mary's complicity and led directly to her execution in 1587. The Walsingham-Dee collaboration. Walsingham's network extended beyond professional spies to merchants. His best watches operated through the Levant Company and Muscovy Company trading networks, business networks, financial networks. Dee was deployed within this system. Walsingham sent Dee to France on a specific mission to report on the progress of marriage negotiations between the Duc d'Anjou and Elizabeth, using Dee's reputation as a scientific and occult authority as cover. Walsingham apparently also used Dee's alleged psychic powers to help discover Catholic plotters, passing secret messages to Mary in wine bottles. Also understand the interesting fact in the Encyclopedia Britannica, no less, so it must be right, that Elizabeth would often bypass both John Dee and Walsingham and William Cecil, her two major advisors in the court, and go straight to John Dee, which is interesting. Academic scholarship. If we were to look closely, we'd find John Dee considered himself a Jew. That's what we'll find. The Jews of Scotland. Always remember that. They've been around a long, long, long time. Academic scholarship on Walsingham's and the German whack job Sabbatean Frankist cult out of Germany, German Jews, the whack jobs. You can start to link it all together. Academic scholarship on Walsingham's intelligence system reveals it was more personalised and politically motivated than conventional history suggests. A doctoral analysis of Elizabethan espionage shows Walsingham's privatised administrative and financed his intellectual clientele and ran his spy system in competition with William Cecil, Lord Berkeley's parallel network, each using intelligence to advance their respective political factions within the regime. Look, they're already fighting back then. It's almost like the British Admiralty fighting with what would become MI6. By controlling state information, and then you can go into good old Aleister Crowley working for British intelligence, Aleister Crowley, Satanism. You can say, the occult, now I see that network. Crowley in the Soviet Union, the killing and murdering of Isadora Duncan, the sacred dancer. Oh, we need to do a video on that. I know one of the last remaining originals. By controlling state information, the Privy Council effectively became, how about to Lord Farmer? Candace, the Catholic Mason, Lord Farmer. Hello? Jolly good, jolly ho. Oh, you're done, Candace. Very sorry, you're done. The alternative head of government, isolating Elizabeth from the core of policy making. Elizabeth's broader surveillance architecture. Elizabeth's spy network was in effect the first institutionalized state surveillance apparatus in English history. It was deliberately designed to create the impression of total penetration, a deterrent effect, even if its actual reach was more limited. Elizabeth's government professionalised espionage by funding informers and modern-style professional intelligence agents who operated in deep cover, like Jeffrey Epstein. Walsingham's placed English men inside Catholic training colleges in Europe to report on which priests were planning secret missions to England. The Hofjuden, financial intelligence. The term Hofjuden or court Jew refers to Jewish bankers and merchants who handled the finances of European, primarily German, Saxe Coburg, we can start drawing points. Royalty and nobility. The structural logic behind their rise was a canonical law. The Catholic Church's prohibition on usury applied to Christians but not to Jews, creating a legal monopoly on credit and lending that Jewish financiers occupied. By the 16th century, Jewish financiers had become increasingly connected to rulers and courts. They were not simply lenders, they managed war chests, procured artillery and supplies, facilitated diplomatic back channels, Chabad Lubavitch, and through their extended family networks across European trading centers, functioned as financial intelligence agents. Then you get the Kadoris and Sassoons, Iraqi Baghdad Jews, traders and financiers, now down there in Hong Kong hanging with Mao. Now you understand? Rittenberg and Associates, Sir Martin Sorrell. This is the old network. It's still there, still going. The dependency dynamic this created was profound. Cash poor, but land-rich nobility required constant access to liquid capital for wars. Wars required supply chains, and supply chains required the international networks that court Jews exclusively possessed. Their compensation frequently included the alleviation of civic restrictions on Jewish communities, occasionally including noble titles, but that was only to the elite. Most of the time, they had their rabbis running around forming shtetls and asking the king to put them into Jewish shtetls, into their little ghettos, and keeping there so they can keep them under control. The Oppenheimer-Habsburg example. The case of Samuel Oppenheimer illustrates the structural dependency most clearly. When Oppenheimer died in 1703, the court of Vienna faced virtual bankruptcy as Austrian imperial finances were integrally tied to this. The Habsburgs recovered by turning to other Jewish purveyors, demonstrating how the system had become institutionally embedded rather than dependent on any single individual. Important to understand. This Samuel Oppenheimer firms trained Meyer Amschel Rothschild's mentor. Meyer secured an apprenticeship in 1757 under Jacob Wolf Oppenheimer at the banking firm of Simon Wolf Oppenheimer in Hanover. It's very German-based. The Rothschild lineage was thus directly continuous with the Hofjuden tradition. This is the Hanseatic League, Saxe-Coburg. In 1769, Meyer Amschel gained the title of court agent managing the finances of Wilhelm I, Landgrave of Hesse-Kassel. Business expanded significantly following the French Revolution when Rothschild handled payments from Britain for the hire of Hessian mercenaries. Remember that Gerhard Schroeder picture? He's on the board of Rothschild. There he is hanging with the Rothschild asset Putin. Yes, someone tell Alex Kroner. You're beginning to get it. Wealth preservation. The Rothschilds family's famous endogamy, marrying within the family and allied banking dynasties, was an explicit strategy. Book of Esther stuff was an explicit strategy to preserve capital concentration. Of 21 marriages involving descendants between 1824 and 1877, think Ivanka Trump marrying the homosexual, being forced into marriage, Jared Kushner, the creepy guy who everyone said was very creepy, was an explicit strategy to preserve capital concentration. Of 21 marriages involving descendants between 1824 and 1877, no fewer than 15 were between direct descendants, and often they changed their name to Smith and Jones and Silver and Gold and Steel. In the 1812 testament of Meyer Amschel stripped female Rothschilds of inheritance rights unless they married within the family, creating a structural incentive for cousin marriage. Now you see the problems. That's why they got to get Victoria's Secrets and mate with 6-foot-tall models. I'm not joking. That is a strategy, a genetic strategy. Nathaniel Meyer Rothschild became the first German Jewish peer in British history, created Baron Rothschild in 1885, the culmination of the Hofjuden's ascent from ghetto financier to hereditary English nobility. Then you see the move into Chatham House, Royal Institute for International Affairs becomes what? The Trilateral Commission becomes what? Council on Foreign Relations. Okay. The New World Order is coming into view, said George H.W. Bush. And at the same time, they hated Israel and they had a lot of problems with it. Dick Cheney. Now you see good old fly fishing banjos playing. Do I have the banjo plucking there? Oh, I haven't put the banjo plucking in the Elgato Stream Deck. I'm Tucker Carlson. I'm just a banjo plucking working class kind of guy. In those cases where no Rothschild cousin was available, marriages were contracted with other prominent banking families or actual nobility, including notably James Nathaniel Rothschild's 1923 marriage to Claude DuPont of the American DuPont industrial dynasty. This cross-dynastic marriage network represented the consolidation of the landed nobility liquid capital alliance on a transatlantic scale. Then we have the inner court, Cecil Rhodes, Alfred Milner, and the Round Table. Oh, this is how it all works. The Coordination Lab, Bilderberg and the Trilateral Commission. The Ideological Engine, the Club of Rome. The Atlantic Council, the Modern Enforcement Layer. Well, you see, good old Murdoch with Kissinger, with General Jim Jones, Technology Clear Force, IIA operations. All right. You see, Tucker Carlson's the 5 core members, which includes Don Jr. Tell me how that works. You got Rebecca Mercer, for crying out loud. Rebecca Mercer, Cambridge Analytica, SCL Group, NATO, General Jim Jones, Roger Stone, the Atlantic Council. Can you see the connections? Roger Stone's best friends with Bill Kristol, Irving Kristol. You can begin to see he's best friends with drug dealer, Broward County, Sheriff Israel, Chabad. You can start to see these networks coming out. The Silicon Intelligence Pipeline. Okay, that's the voiceover. I mean, this is so good. I might just look. I rewrite my own script. I might just read this. I think this is important information. I'll put there that this is just basically an AI script. I hope you're beginning to understand this bigger picture. We need that narrative, that big picture narrative. Because if you get that big picture, you can understand the particular. You can begin to unravel. You can't see the forest for the trees. Okay, but if you can see the forest, you can also understand the position of each tree and its significance. You cannot understand the big picture from the particular. You have to get the big picture first, then you can understand the detail, the tactical fight. The further back you pull, the easier it is to see what's going on. But when you go down into the detail, it gets messy. You're going to find human personalities. You're going to find people that didn't know. You're going to find people that change their minds. You're going to see people that change allegiances. You're going to see hired actors. So you're trying to form a coherent picture. You can only get a coherent picture from the big picture, the grand strategy. That's where you've got to start. So like tomorrow when I do that video on Rahm Emanuel, Ari Emanuel, we're going to Endeavor Group, the World Wrestling Federation, the UFC, we tied in with Joe Rogan and Alex Jones and Keanu Reeves and Benjamin Netanyahu. And then you understand the Israeli companies are running all the medical marijuana, which Roger Stone's involved in. Then you understand this new program of psychedelics. They're going to make that into a new religion, this new agey metrosexual smart city religion. It's all going to come out of the book of Joel. And I'm going to tie it all in. Just those details. If I have the big picture, I can begin to tie in all the individual players. And ideally in a real world, in a real online community, I mean, we would fight. Everyone was fighting and hating each other, but everyone got together because we all knew if we didn't save the boat, we're all doomed. We're going to have no boat to fight over. They're going to put us all in the damn camps, Jews included. Nowadays, you're interrupting my business model and no one will get together. It's very simple. As I've said repeatedly, I want no racism. I want no white nationalist horsepucky, as you are finding out how they're all funded. They're all closet homos, bisexuals, whack jobs, drug dealers, every single last one of them. Stay away from them. It's all fake. It's all fake. Right? But I can't work with liars. And Alex Craner is a liar who's taken money. He's not mistaken. It's not about having highly disparate views, but of course, you can have a broad audience and you can make more money in your podcast if you have a lot of broad views. I'm not interested in broad views. I'm interested in having the same common goal. I'm running a blitzkrieg. I want a combined arms operation to smash through and penetrate by getting on board military and policing and talking to those people. I'm not interested in a broad church, all right? I'm interested in getting these people and smashing through that original so people go, oh, yeah. We can have a broad range of people, but we're all on the same track. It's not about, oh, what do you think of Putin? Well, you can have your view. No, you're lying. There are some things which aren't up for debate, and saying that Putin is an anti-globalist when the guy came up through globalists like Yevgeny Primakov, a communist KGB, SVR foreign intelligence guy who's best friends with Heinz Kissinger, the ultimate globalist and the right hand of Rothschild, for crying out loud, I don't think it's up for debate. We create young global leaders and penetrate the cabinets, like Pierre Trudeau and Angela Merkel and Vladimir Putin. But you got to have a debate with these people. I'm not ready to debate. These people are morons. Move on. People get it. They get it straight away. Grab those people. Form that fist. Smash through. If you can get that big picture and understand the narrative, you don't have to kick them in the balls and get down and start smashing skulls. Just print out the flyers. They're always linked below. Matt's email is there if you want to get Australian flyers. Well, Matt does. Matt doesn't just run out there and start kicking in heads. He just drives around in his business, and when the opportunity arises, when the narrative comes up, he pops them a flyer and says, you might want to look at this. That's all you have to do. You don't have to run for Congress. But you can start thinking in offline mode and understand how powerful you are when you move offline. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope some of this makes sense in a big picture strategy. The courts of Queen Elizabeth I, moving through all that way, the mass migrations of these Bolshevik Jews out of the East, run by the Hofjuden in between that British Empire Union, where they're all sitting around at the Royal Institute for International Affairs. We need to get that colony back. Send in a bunch of your Bolshevik Jews. We'll send a heap down to Palestine, starting around 1870. We'll send a heap into the United States in waves, different waves, another wave in 1918, another wave in the 50s. Silver Master Spying, Diane West, Red Thread, moving through. They get busted. Then we create Israel. Then we do Holocaust narratives in the 1970s. We create the Binational Science Foundation. We create the BIRD, the Binational Industrial Research and Divine, and Israel Energy Act. And we create these linkages between our colonies. And now what do they want to do with good old Candace and Tucker? Now they tell you just enough, boo the Jews. The Jews killed Jesus and they killed Charlie Kirk too. Let's Jew bait, get attention. Okay, Nick Fuentes, that little rat, he has his little demographic. Tucker has his demographic. Candace has her female slooper sleuth academic. And she's now Scottish Rite Masonry. She's over there at the Royal Institute for International Affairs with the Lord Farmer. George Farmer, the homosexual, forced to breed if he did it all, if he did the business, or if she even had the kids. Let's talk about Bridget Macron's PP. Let's run people in circles. What colour was Charlie's underpants? 30-06. Remember, she's the 30-06. Well, I'm not a ballistics expert, she said. There's nothing else to focus on. 30-06. We know it's garbage. We don't need Kent to tell us that the narrative is garbage. What we need is the big picture. Who benefited from that assassination? US is in chaos. Candace has popped up to tell us the Jews killed Charlie Kirk. Not, well, a bunch of people using their old Elizabethan style networks, a coercion between the Hofjuden and the old royal courts of Europe and the UK. And they killed Charlie Kirk via their informal networks, probably a hit team coming out of Marseille, France, as they did with Kennedy. And now we have all this chaos. Now we must go boo Israel, boo the Jews, withdraw out of NATO, withdraw out of the Middle East because Russia and China, their other City of London assets are ready to move in. So when you see the US establishing bases in Israel, they are literally putting giant bases into Israel. And they will be controlling the AI, controlling the data flows. They're getting rid of City of London, Iran. Iran is not a plucky nationalist. It's a globalist, just like China, just like Xi, just like Putin. And you see the real Iranian nationalist gets pushed out. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, God willing, he'll be back in. A real Iranian nationalist, make Iran great again and trade with the United States. And God willing, at some stage, US elites will spread the revolution about being your own king and queen in your own house, running your own life, liaising with your community, understanding bitch pictures, understanding politics. You can't graduate from high school and from college if you do not understand how they manipulate us. You need to understand psychology. You need to understand how billionaires are running foundation systems and roundtables and say, we will never allow this to happen again. Spread the revolution. Free the slaves, America. Be the lighthouse on the hill, America. But you are so filthy, I'm unsurprised how you lecture anyone when you are the biggest drug trafficker, drug money launderer in the world. It's going to take 20 years to dismantle the system. If you pull the plug now, the whole thing will collapse. Not asking you to trust the plan, but we might need a little bit of patience, and sometimes these things are handled quietly. Our role is to understand that big picture, put it in context, and understand Donald Trump is not a savior. He's pus, he's filth, he's disgusting. Understand who's actually running things. Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, serving and retired generals, special forces personnel, Texas billionaires, with that unholy alliance of their own with Chabad. I want that over. I don't care how indispensable Charles Manson is. I want him out, gone, ASAP. Because currently, right now, all they're doing is extorting Jews and making themselves useful to the royal court. My liege, we can extort all that money out of Miriam Adelson. We've got all the networks for the drug money laundering and the diamond trade and the drug trafficking and the organ trafficking and the sex slave trafficking. We've got all our networks set up, my king, King Trump, and we will organize all the money so you can enrich yourself. Donald Trump never put his hand on the Bible because he's a Jew or Chabad. He hates them all. He's a universalist lodge manifesting guy. He believes he manifests stuff. He loves the power of the mind. That's what he's into. The Americanized lodge version of little intellectual wanky, you're in charge of your own life stuff. He doesn't put his hand on the Bible. If you told him to put your hand on the Tanakh, he'd be doing it reluctantly too. He hates Chabad too. He's got no interest in Bud. He's telling them, give me the money. It's all Trump's interested in, being a billionaire. That's all he's interested in. He was worth $250 million before he came in. He was a whore for Cambridge Analytica, SEL Group, NATO. And Heinz Kissinger, that's what he was a whore for. And it was Mattis and Pompeo, Catholics in Action, and the old Waspy Skull and Bones networks under Mattis, and Mattis is still operating in the background. Who said, it's over, baby. It's over. And they got back control of that asset, or they got control of that asset. That's the fight. And it's just like Queen Elizabeth IV, the courts of Elizabeth. It's fascinating. There will be a voiceover on this stuff. You know what? Perplexity does such a good job. I don't want to cheat, but I think it's just more important to get the word out. And I'm just going to do a copy and paste and read it. And I'll say, though, this is AI stuff. But AI is a very valuable tool. I urge you to use it. Okay, tomorrow we do Joe Rogan and how you got the same networks running the drug trade. Then now for all the addicts and the PTSD and all the soldiers who've been to war, they're going to give you some psychedelics and you're going to heal yourself. And that's not untrue. It is helpful. But I'm going to give you the background, Roger Stone, that whole Ari Emanuel crew. And they're all going to make money off the front end of the drug trade, and they're going to make money off the rear end curing. They always get multiple back ends. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. I never said this network was purest light. Oh, God bless the holy goy fighting the Jews. No, it's a bunch of pus-ridden criminals. We just got to fake it till we make it. It's going to take 20 years to wean off this godforsaken system. Good things are happening geopolitically, but look, there's a long way to go. And even if things feel hopeless, you know what? We're going to try anyway. God bless. Please have a good weekend. It's Friday. I'm going for cheesecake. Nothing will stop me. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your head up. Please form alliances where you can, but also do not compromise your values. Always a big shout out to Rich, does politics. I really like Rich and I appreciate his wise counsel and also giving me the opportunity to reach a few more people. But as long as you're talking to Alex Kramer, I really don't want to talk to you or any of your group. But Rich, I really do like you. I think Rich is a really good guy. But God bless you. You carry on, do your thing. I'll be doing my own thing. We'll talk to some more people later. We'll see how this goes. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good weekend. Please have a good weekend. Horafez, Jumpalegi, Jumpananti, hasta luego.
What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Totally freedom.